Good morning, Excellency.
Morning, good morning.
We today meet at a very special juncture. We've just entered 2023. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you very much. And also, we are meeting on the eve of President of Uzbekistan visiting Singapore. This is the first state visit he has. So, you being the non-resident ambassador of Singapore to Uzbekistan, we would like to know what is Singapore expecting out of this visit?
I think first and foremost, we have a very long-standing good relationship with Uzbekistan since the day it became independent. And I think although Singapore is very far away from Uzbekistan, people are beginning to take notice of Uzbekistan for the progress that they have made, and especially the recent reforms by the President. And I think the visit is a very good time for Singaporeans to know about what's happening in Uzbekistan, the progress they have made, and the opportunities, not just in economic, political, but people to people. And I think it's the right time for the President to be here, and we welcome him and hope that, out of this, we can get closer and Singaporeans get to know more about Uzbekistan.
You've been the non-resident ambassador for some time, and you've gone up many times. What have you observed about Uzbekistan so far in these many years?
I think first I'll say again that not many people are aware of the newly independent Uzbekistan, because it was part of a much bigger empire than Russia. We are aware of Russia, but we may not be so aware of the many countries. But certainly after independence, Uzbekistan does stand out, especially more recently with the initiative of One Belt, One Route and the reforms that the current president has started and has taken notice. Uzbekistan is just not a young country, it's an old civilization, great culture, strong people, and highly energetic and very ambitious in what they want to achieve for themselves. But it's a country with strong culture, emphasis on tradition and religion is there. And I think these are things that Singaporeans want to look to. I think we can learn a lot from Uzbekistan, as much as I think Uzbekistan do want to come here and see what are the things that we can work together and share with one another, the best practices that can help both countries.
How do you think Singapore can contribute in the development of Uzbekistan?
When we talk about relationship, I think we cannot ignore the fact that in Singapore's Uzbekistan relationship with tremendous amount of political goodwill. It's about time that political goodwill gets translated into economic opportunities and people-to-people relations. In terms of economic opportunities, I'm sure with the things that both countries are doing, businesses on both sides will for themselves find a way how they want to maximize opportunities, and they will do so. But as far as country to country, I think this is something that as good friends we have a lot to learn from one another. Singapore being a global city, will be able to share our experiences, good and bad, of faults and failures and successes with our good friends, and how we also have emerged from the backwaters since our independence to be a global city, and that's what Uzbekistan wants to have. And Uzbekistan too want to find themselves plugged in to an emerging Southeast Asia, for which Singapore is a very important hub. And I think there are ways in which we can overcome our geographic obstacles of distance and the fact that it's landlocked, we don't have a maritime highway directly. These are things that we can work on.
How many Singaporean companies are currently operating or living in Uzbekistan?
There are not that many, but the few that they have made tremendous impressions in the areas of education, in the areas of agriculture, chemical, oil refinery. I think some of Singapore countries have made tremendous impact. Although small, we are certainly being recognized for what we're doing. And I hope the success of these companies, and I must say when I say success, they owe the success also because the host country, Uzbekistan, has been very fair in helping more companies, and I hope we will encourage more Singapore companies to also follow suit.
Which are the areas of cooperation you see can be further developed? As you just mentioned, there's collaboration in
I think
education.
there are three main areas.
Mm-hmm.
I think first in the political area. I think, as you know, Singapore's has continuously for many years gone into a digital electronic reforms of its e-government.
Mm-hmm.
And I think governments all over the world are trying to find ways how they can make use of technology to better administer the country. I think this is where they are looking at. So I think there are potentials for the two governments to work together to take better advantage of digital technology, and Singapore is quite ahead in this. The second is actually people to people. I think Singapore being a small country, many Singaporeans want to travel to countries that are, a bit more distant, a bit more educational for them, a bit more epic in terms of experience. I think the cities of Samarkand, Farah, and Kiva offers a great experience for anybody, including Singaporeans. There's a lot for us to learn, and I think this is one area where people to people can be engaged. In terms of businesses, I think Uzbekistan is an emerging country. It's the most populated country in the region. It's embarking on very strong, disciplined reforms. I think it will open up a host of opportunities. I think we know when Singapore started emerging, we produced a lot of companies, regional, global companies. I think Uzbekistan will do the same. And I think Singaporean companies have gone ahead, experienced much longer since independence, and we'll find that these are areas that we can still find a place and prosper.
Wonderful. In anticipation of new opportunities, growth, do you think Singapore government will consider opening an embassy in Uzbekistan?
That's a different question. I think one thing to open embassy is certainly, I think, diplomatically we would want to have an embassy in all the areas where we have representation. There's no question about it. It doesn't change the fact whether we do have one or we don't have one. The way we operate is no different. We have a unique situation where we are a very small country with a very large diplomatic representation. It is not quite possible to have in every of our country that we have representation of full embassy presence, because it requires, it's not resources, we can afford the financial resources, but we just don't have the manpower to do it. And I think we don't want to do things just for the sake of doing things. If we think that we cannot perform well, we'll find other avenues. And Singapore is a unique way. We have ambassadors like me who don't work full time, but I can spare my time and resources to do my work. I don't think my work has been impacted by the fact that I'm a sort of part-time diplomat or non-resident. But the support and services down at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our ministries are full-time. We have that resources. So I think we have a unique situation that I think many countries are looking at very carefully. So I think we, of course, if down the line we can have the resources of people that we can who are familiar with the place, who speak the language, who knows the thing and prepared to live there and stay there, I think we certainly will consider that. But until then, the system works quite well from current standpoint. But I think that's the way it is. But it doesn't change the fact that the way we work within the two countries remain the same. In fact, the fact that I'm in Singapore instead of being Uzbekistan, I work a lot more with the ambassador here. Imagine if I'm there, I can't coordinate things with him.
Yes, I think that's a positive. Ambassador, while Singaporean companies are being encouraged by Enterprise Singapore to set up shop there, Would you like to encourage more Uzbek established companies to look at Singapore market as well? And
Well,
maybe ASEAN through Singapore?
Yes, I would say, businessmen make their own decisions. We have to be aware that distance is a bit of an issue. Just like Uzbek businessmen, they are familiar with areas around the neighborhood. Singapore businessmen are equally familiar with our neighborhood, those that are far and distant. Maybe China or US is further, but because the interconnectivity is much better, and therefore we can do that. But I think when the connectivity improves, certainly we can do that. But if down the line Uzbek businessmen find ambition, a need to operate further, and ASEAN of 600 million people growing, emerging, it's not just a market Uzbek. I think global markets are looking at ASEAN.
Absolutely.
And here, as good friends of Uzbekistan, me and certainly my government, we are more than happy to encourage, assist, collaborate, cooperate with Uzbekistan and countries in the region to find ways to explore opportunities. Singapore is a very small market, we have to be honest about it, but the region is enormous.
So, Ambassador, as the President comes, he's signing a whole slew of MOUs. What is an expectation from that angle?
I think we are both very serious-minded people. The President is very serious-minded, I'm aware of that, and so is Singapore. One thing I would like to say that we are not fond of signing MOUs for the sake of MOUs. We are not taking the President's visit to Singapore as a hospitality visit. That's clearly not the case. I think they're a very significant visit. The MOUs that we're going to sign are significant. It's going to point to more collaboration in the future. And it signals a new phase of relationship going forward. I think it's a new signal. It's a signal of an emerging Uzbekistan that's able to go beyond its neighborhood. It's a signal to Singapore that welcomes our friends from afar to be closer to us, working with us for a longer term.
Ambassador, the stage seems set for a very successful
Yes.
visit. We wish you all the best, and we welcome from in diplomacy and from some media, we welcome
Thank you.
the President and
Thank you very much. We're also
Thank you
looking
very much.
forward to a successful visit.
thank you, sir. Thank you.